evening. Welcome to Cardiff City TV. He'll shoot and he'll score. One in the area, and it's off. We did it. Good evening. Welcome to Cardiff City TV. Welcome back again once more to Cardiff City Stadium with the Bluebirds hosting Stoke City here on a chilly autumn evening. It doesn't feel like spring has sprung quite like we thought it had at the weekend, John. Maybe that's a little bit of the gloom setting back in after what was ultimately a disappointing game on the weekend. We'll hear from Steve Morrison as ever here on the pre-match show with myself and John Donovan. We're also going to hear from Perry and G this evening, but let's not dwell on it too much because I think Steve Morrison's already said all he wants to say about Saturday. It was disappointing. It wasn't what we've been used to in recent weeks from the Bluebirds.
No, it wasn't, Ash, but it kind of, the tail of the tape was maybe written beforehand. You can see that both teams were setting out with similar formations, similar styles, similar game plans, and they really did just cancel each other out. It was a game of limited chances. Smithies made a great save. Ikpeazu could have been the hero again and win it. Probably neither side really deserved to win it, and I think begrudgingly both managers probably admitted that in their post-match press conference. It's a point, and I think that the general feel from what I've seen on social media, and I said it to people as well, that maybe 2-3 months ago we would have lost that game 1-0. So you've got to take these incremental improvements as they come. No, it wasn't pretty. No, it wasn't great fare, great entertainment, but it was a point. We didn't lose, and you'll take the positive from that.
In terms of this evening then, looking ahead, Steve Morrison's reaction to that, two changes to the Cardiff team to start this evening's game with Stoke City. One of them, that man right there on your screens, Joel Bagan, comes back into the reckoning in the left wing back position because of course Alfie Doughty is ineligible for tonight's game as part of his loan agreement from Stoke City. And the other change comes up top again, and more movement in that support striker role. It's been Isaac Davis or Ruben Colwell in recent weeks, while Mark Harris has got his nose or his foot back in the door this evening, got his foot back in the Watch Squad door this afternoon as well, alongside a couple of others. Congratulations, of course, to Will Vaulks as well for that accolade, getting back in there. So you'd imagine it's a Mark Harris with his tail up.
Yeah, I think so. I think, Steve Morrison might have looked at it for two reasons. One, strategic in that support striker role. A lot of it is running in behind. A lot of it is pressing without the ball, defensively, leading from the front. It's a pretty exhaustive role. So I think you do need to have that rotation, that rollover of players. And Mark Harris gets his chance tonight. The second reason is probably a little bit of gut instinct on the part of Steve Morrison, as you rightly say. Mark Harris, he's got his tail up, he's got a Welsh call up today. He probably feels pretty good about himself. And strikers, when they feel good about themselves, tend to do well. So maybe it's gut feeling on the part of the manager.
And if you're talking about gut feeling, then let's cast our mind back to Steve Morrison's first game in charge of the Bluebirds. And he alluded to this himself yesterday, talking in press. He wanted the world to swallow him up 2 minutes into the second half of that managerial debut, 3-0 down away at Stoke. But what memories he's got of that coming through the other end of it, and Mark Harris, completely integral to that turnaround, could have given Cardiff all 3 points ultimately.
Yeah, there have been more feel-good moments under Steve Morrison than there have been negative moments, and it did start in the first game, a draw that felt like a victory. I remember watching that game. You were excellent on commentary, Ash, that day, and in the first half I thought, yeah, we were behind, but I thought there's something better about this. There's something more constructive. It was the start of a very long journey. I think we're still at the infancy of that long journey, but I think even from the first half of that game we've seen steps in the right direction. And when it went 3-0, yeah, it was doom and gloom, it was disappointment, but I think I was on the WhatsApp to you going, yeah, there are parts of this I'll take forward. Yeah, we've lost, but there are parts of this I'll take forward. And then lo and behold, we go and have a Roy of the Rovers comeback. So maybe that was just the sprinkling of magic dust that Steve Morrison needed to start his managerial reign. I think, you've got to give him a 6 or 7 out of 10 so far. He's earned his new contract. He had a great January transfer window we've already spoken about. So I'm looking forward to see what the summer brings.
If you're talking about what's improved immeasurably since that day, though, it's that soft centre that Cardiff was still very evident, wasn't it? 3-0 down on that afternoon. Cardiff aren't that leaky at the back anymore. They're a pretty difficult nut to crack defensively now.
They are, and I would say the name Ryan Wintle there. I know he's not a defender by trade, but I think his positioning, solidity, his mopping up as an inverted sweeper in the middle of the park, we're not conceding. If you remember that Coventry away game and that goal where the player just ran through the middle, and you could play that on repeat for 7, 8, 9, 10 games and goals that Cardiff City conceded. Since Ryan Wintle came back in, I don't think that's happening.
Blackburn, Bristol City.
There we go.
Yeah,
I knew you'd remember. I also, we've talked about Perry NG till the cows come home. I think he's fantastic in that role. I think, and I know Steve Morrison is joining you on commentary tonight, and what a great servant and player he is, and hopefully he'll be fit again soon. I've got to say, I think Aidan Flint's playing the best football of his Cardiff City spell the last few games. I think he's been absolutely excellent. It's a settled back three. I think Alex Smithies has rediscovered his form. So that spine, that cliched spine that we always talk about in football, right now I think Cardiff City have got a nice balance there, and a lot of that credit, I think, has to go to Ryan Wintle.
Yeah, right, we've got Sean Morrison coming up. He's on commentary with me this evening. He's going to join us for the second half of our pre-match show here as well. So we haven't got as much time as usual to nerd out on football, you and I. So let's have one quick one on Stoke then. They're a head scratcher at the moment, a real head scratcher. They're a team, we've been talking about what's gone wrong there. And does it not boil down to the fact that they brought 3 new centre-halves into the club in January, a whole new back three, and it hasn't really worked for them?
Yeah, I think so. I think Michael O'Neill looked at it and thought we're in with a chance here, a sniff of getting into the playoffs, maybe one season early. He has talked about a project at Stoke. I think he's there for the long term. But I think he decided to roll the dice. He brought in some experience in Jagielka. He brought in some names we know. I think they're all good players in their own right. It hasn't worked. They've fallen away. And it is a head scratcher. If Cardiff win tonight, what are we level on points with them, I believe, albeit playing a couple of games more or a game more. But Stoke have really, really fallen away, and maybe this is actually where they should be at this start of at this point of their project. And I know Michael O'Neill wants to push on, but yeah, I think he felt he could roll the dice and maybe be that dark horse team that gets to the playoffs. It hasn't worked, and I think fans will be frustrated. Hopefully we don't have the dead rubber we had on Saturday. I think Cardiff City players are playing to be part of Steve Morrison's plans. I think ditto, the same should go for Stoke as well. So hopefully we'll have better entertainment. But you're right, Stoke City are a head scratcher.
Certainly talking to somebody who had them in the finishing in the top 6 in their pre-season predictions. That's for it. Thank you very much, Sean. I'm going to have to let you go this evening because I've got Sean Morrison joining me up in a couple of minutes. First, though, let's hear what the Cardiff manager Steve Morrison had to say ahead of tonight's game.
A big club. They started the season really well. Obviously, it was my first game, which was a whirlwind. They've done all right. They've been on not that great run of form recently, but yeah, it's just another game. 3 points, as I said. Haven't really thought about much of them in compared to us or myself. Just been working on ourselves and working how we're going to get 3 points. We're not here just to drift off into the distance and roll into next season. Yes, we're working behind the scenes on next season, but what happens on the pitch isn't going to be based around on what's going on next season, because we've got human beings in the building that want to play football, and I want them to play football, and I want us to try and win games of football as well, and that will be our sole focus. I actually was looking at it the other day how many games we've actually had. We've had a hell of a lot of games, over 20 odd games. We had to get the team safe, get the club safe, get us winning games of football, win more than we lose. We've been doing that, and I said we want to keep that going. I'd like to replicate the last 10 games performance-wise and results-wise, and that'd be a nice end to the season, and we should finish in a nice, comfortable mid-table position. Then we go into the off-season, and window doesn't open till June the 9th. Work hard on trying to get things in place. The worst thing about all that is you can, just talking about it then on the phone before we go on, you can put things in place, but until people sign those contracts and et cetera, then it's all up in the air. And obviously everything starts a bit earlier next year. Like, we'll be back 22nd of June. The season starts 30th of July. Everyone will get away, have their breaks, and then we'll be back at it. So, but for now, all we're focused on is what's happening on the grass, and let me and the people that are behind the scenes, as and when we can, look and try and work towards next season.
Welcome back. Cardiff manager Steve Morrison there talking to us yesterday ahead of this evening's game with Stoke City. Delighted to say, joined by club captain Sean Morrison. Let's start with the positives. How are you feeling? It's obviously a difficult time in any footballer's career, but you look positive. You look like you're up for the challenge.
Yeah, good. Obviously, it's never nice to be injured, but when once the news happened and I found out what I had done, processed it fairly quickly, and I've been through lots of injuries. Obviously, ACL is not a great injury to do, but I know what I have to do. I've watched teammates go through it a lot of times, and I'm ready for the rehab. Tack it full on. I'm 4 weeks almost post-op now, so every day's a little bit easier. Work's progressing in the gym, and hopefully, like I said, every week's going to be better and better, and I'll come back stronger.
And as you said, you've seen a close proximity. Two players who you're very close to have gone through this in the last 2 years. You know, awful luck for the players and the football club, but you've seen in Saul Bamber and Joe Bennett exactly what it takes and how you can get back after
exactly
it.
Yeah, and those aren't the only two. Throughout my whole career, you see players who have gone through it, younger players, older players, and like you look at Sol's still out there now, and he's 37 now, and Benno obviously last year, watching his rehab closely and seeing how much work he put in, and you come out the other side better for it. It's a mental toughness it builds as well, so I'm in a good place. I'm excited to start the rehab properly and see where it takes me in 6 to 9 months' time.
Fantastic. And unfortunately then, it couldn't have come really at a worse time, could it? You know, Cardiff starting to turn the corner, new manager, obviously the contract situation, the age that you're at in your career. It was probably a really difficult pill to swallow.
Yeah, look, I'm old enough and ugly enough to understand football and the ins and outs of the business side of it. And look, I'm a positive person. Try and affect what I can. Try and control the controllables, and that's my rehab. If I do my rehab properly and I come back better for it, which I know I will, all the other things that are out of my control, we'll see what happens.
295 club appearances. We desperately hope you get your 300.
I do as well.
Yeah. Fantastic. In terms of what you've been witnessing firsthand, it's been quite a turnaround, isn't it, for Cardiff? How flat it was at one point.
And that's the thing. Yeah, look, it's been a disappointing season for the players, for the fans, for everyone involved. Obviously, a change of manager. Morrow's come in and he's tried to stamp his own authority on it. He's tried to get his beliefs and the way he wants the team to play over to the lads, and I think that's shown. I think we're trying to be a bit more dynamic with the football, and I think in especially the last month to 6 weeks, I think you can see the shape of the team and playing on the counter-attack a lot. I think it really suits the personnel down to a T. The loan signings that we brought in, the likes of Cody and Tommy, having the actual right personnel to play in a 3-5-2 makes a huge difference, and also Jordan coming in and being that focal point. I think a lot of credit should go to Morrow, because the signings they brought in and the team spirit he's built in the last couple of months has been fantastic. And the results have shown we've become a really hard team to beat. We're not conceding as many goals as we were in the start of the season, and we seem to be getting over the line a lot more than we were.
There's been a lot of understandable attention on the youngsters, the youngsters and the loanees that have come in, who are young in their own right, and the way they've really hit the ground running. But you're talking about having the right players to play this formation. How impressive has Perry and G been since he's slotted into that back
this is something I think that we all knew as players. Perry, when he first come in, he's played a lot of games for his age. He was club captain of Crewe for a reason, very highly rated, and he come in and sometimes when you come in as a player to a new club and you almost get shoehorned into a position where you're not 100% comfortable, you can not look as good as a player as you are, and that shift into right centre half, which I think as players and people watching probably thought he was always his best position, and since he's got in there, he's been different gear. He's probably been our best player. He's defensively sound, but on the ball he brings a real calmness, and you can see the likes of him and Cody linking up on the right side of the pitch. They've been brilliant. So no, it's something that we always knew as a team. how much quality he possesses, and I think it's nice to see that the fans actually can see now how good of a player he is.
And his good mate who plays just inside him to his left-hand side, Ryan Winthorpe, from a fellow footballer, fellow professional's point of view, how difficult, how impressive has it been to see him coming back into the club after that's such a strange scenario in the summer where he was brought in and then immediately sent out? The way he's reacted.
It was a very weird situation. It was a situation where obviously Wins got brought in, great move for him, expecting to be part of the squad, part of the team, and shipped out on loan, but he went to Blackpool with a great attitude and played pretty much every game, and obviously Blackpool's form was very good, so he come back, and I'm probably sure he wasn't sure what the situation was going to be, and I think he slipped in. I was lucky enough to play in the Forest game with him before I got injured, and his tactical nous defensively, I think in that number 8 position, number 6, or whatever number you want to call it, he's been different gear, and I'm really happy for him because he works hard, and it's nice to see people who deserve it do well, so I'm really happy for him.
Talking about good people, it's nice to see you do well. Your mate Joe Rolls, you've lent him the captain's armband for the time being. How great is it to see him leading the team out?
It's honestly, it's an incredible feeling to be a captain, but to see one of your best mates, not only in football but just in life in general, lead the team out. He deserves it more than anyone that I've played with at this club. He's Cardiff through and through, and he absolutely adores the club, adores the fans. He'd run through brick walls for this team.
Bedtime story.
Hello, mate. Get away. So no, to watch Ralsey lead the team out, it's incredible, and like I said, he fully deserves it.
Fantastic. And a very quick word then ahead of today's game. You're going to join me on commentary, so you're sticking around, but a bit of a head scratcher. Stoke made moves in January, brought in 3 new centre halves, changed the entire back line. Hasn't really worked with them. 2 wins in 15, but as we know, Championship football's not played on paper, and they're a team still with a real point to prove, aren't they?
Of course, yeah. Look, they got a good manager in charge. They've had a real dip since the new year, really, and like you said, they've not won many games. They've not kept many clean sheets, but they have a lot of quality in their squad. And I'm sure Morrow's done a lot of work on them this week. The boys would have been working on the formation, how we're going to break them down all week. So I think if we can put in the performances we have and up it a little bit going forward, I think we'll be hard to stop tonight. But like you said, you've always got to be careful in the Championship because these teams possess a lot of talent, and hopefully for us we can get the 3 points tonight.
Thank you very much, Sean.
Nice one, man. Thank you.
Delighted to say the club captain is sticking around and joining myself on commentary this evening. We are 12 minutes or so away from kick-off here on Cardiff City TV, so we're going to get ready for live matchday commentary. But first, let's hear from Perry and G, who the skipper has just talked so eloquently about.
Perry, one last game before the international break. Sum up the last few weeks for us and how it's been for you and for the lads.
It's been better. I think we're all enjoying it. We've put together a few good performances and we've picked up quite a few points. So it's been good to play in, and I think exciting times ahead.
And it was an even contest against Preston on Saturday, but good to come away with a point at the end of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're a good team. It was a bit of a stalemate, 2 similar formations, so it was a bit boring for the fans. But yeah, it was. I think early on in the season we probably would have lost that game, so it shows how far we've come. But yeah, we've just got to get better for Stoke, keep training hard and keep improving.
Another tough test at home, but one that we'll be looking to take 3 points from. A really strong home form at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. With our crowd behind us, any team coming here should be, afraid of us. We've got a real identity now, how we play. I think that helps us. But yeah, Stoke are a good team. They play similar formation against us, so it'll be a tough game. They've got some good individuals, so we'll have to be on our game.
At Stoke earlier in the season, Steve Morrison's first game in charge, coming back from 3-0 down to get that 3-3 draw. And that's something I'm sure that will stick in the memory for both teams coming into this one tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. We know how good they can be because we were 3-0 down in the first half an hour, I think. So we know what to expect. But yeah, in the second half, we were fantastic there, and we try to do the same again. But
and your positioning, you started at right wing back, a few games on the left, and now on the right side of that central three. How are you finding it there? You seem to be enjoying it and putting in some really good performances.
Yeah, I'm loving it. It's a position I've always wanted to play. I think at wing back I can do a job there, but I can't really thrive in that position. Whereas in this position, I feel like I can really thrive and improve. So yeah, I'm loving it, and especially the way we're playing at the minute. We're playing football, so we're keeping clean sheets. So yeah, I'm loving it.
And we've seen you link up constantly with Cody Drama on that side as well, and having his pace going forward is a real asset to the side, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. He's been fantastic to play with. He doesn't stop running. Sometimes I look at him and think, well, yeah, he needs the rest. But yeah, he's a fantastic player to play with. He helps me defensively, and he can get him forward. He's brilliant. So yeah, a real joy to play with.
When Ryan Wintle's come back from his loan spell since we spoke to you last, what's it like having him back, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch too?
Yeah, it's brilliant. He followed me. Yeah, he lives the same block as me. So nice to have him back. And, he's helped the team so much since coming back. So, yeah, he's a joy to play with as well. I knew what he could do from back in our career days. So, yeah, it's a real joy to have him back.
And the international break coming up now, Perry, a chance for a little bit of rest and relaxation after a really hectic fixture schedule. And that's something you must be looking forward to.
Yeah. We've had a hard schedule. It's been tough. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a few days off. But, we can't rest too much because we've got, obviously, the big one coming up after the break. So, it'll be a nice few days of rest, but then back on it again, ready for the big game.
Exactly that. And it also offers us the chance to prepare 8 more games at the end of the season and really practice some more things that perhaps with the Tuesday, Saturday schedule, we just haven't had time for in the last few weeks.
Yeah, definitely. We've come a long way since the start of the season, but I think if we can keep training and working on, a few more little tweaks, I think we can become a real good team. And, even going into next year, if we can build a few wins, get a bit of momentum going into next year, it'll be brilliant for us.
Top 5 in association with the Big Yellow Self-Storage Company.
Decent looking ball. Chance here. 1-1 Robert Glatzel. His second of the season. And the substitute has broken Stoke open.
It's a really fine finish from Robert Glatzel. Deep ball in. Defender gambles. Comes up empty-handed.
Good evening, welcome to Cardiff City TV.
He'll shoot and he'll score! One in the air! And it's not, we did it!
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Cardiff City TV. Welcome to Cardiff City Stadium for this final midweek evening encounter of the season at home. Just one more midweek 7:45 kickoff to go, in fact, and that's the rearranged fixture against Middlesbrough, which should be taking place this upcoming Saturday. Of course, this Cardiff's last fixture now for 17 days prior to the game with Swansea here on April the 2nd in what is an incredibly rare Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff for that fixture. But first up this evening, a chance for Cardiff to continue to exert pressure on Michael O'Neill's poorly formed Stoke City side at the moment. Just 2 wins in 15 for the Potters coming into this game. Cardiff, of course, 2 matches unbeaten after those wins at Queen's Park Rangers and the 0-0 draw with Preston North End. Wait the arrival of both teams this evening. Cardiff with 2 changes from that side. The drew 0-0 away at home with Preston at the weekend. Joe Bagan returns to the left-back position in place of Alfie Doughty, who's ineligible this evening for the terms of his loan deal. And Mark Harris returns to the Cardiff starting 11 as the 2 teams are led out by team captains Joe Rolls and Joe Allen. Traditional colours all round this evening. Cardiff head to toe in Cardiff blue. Mike O'Neill's men come here in the traditional striped shirts. They come here in pretty wretched form, as I've said. Cardiff looking to continue this recent crest of the wave, and as I mentioned, 2 changes for the Bluebirds for Steve Morrison. 1 in force. Joel Bagan returns to the left wing back role, vacated by Alfie Doughty this evening because of the terms, of course, of his loan move from Stoke City, his parent club. And there's a change up top as well, where Mark Harris comes back in for Isaac Davis in the support striker role. He also announced this afternoon that he has returned to the Welsh international fold, included in Robert Page's latest Welsh squad, alongside returning Will Vaux, who is on the bench this evening for the Bluebirds. There's also a place for Eli King coming in, with Alfie Doughty having to drop out of the 18. Stoke, all change for Stoke. James Chester, Taylor Harwood-Bellis and Welshman Morgan Fox in the back line, we think, as a back 3 this evening. That should mean that Ben Wilmot continues to deputise as a right wing back, as he has for the last month or so. Josh Tyman, impressive at left wing back. There's a returning start for Romain Sawyers, who's missed a huge chunk of time this season in the middle of the park, and they've gone with the 2 pacey options up top in Jacob Brown, who's the club's top scorer this season, and Tyrese Campbell, still tentatively making his way back from a serious ACL injury suffered against Cardiff in the away fixture in December 2020. Now, before kick-off, we're going to take an opportunity to recognise the life and career of the dearly departed Peter Whittingham. Almost unimaginable that it is nearly 2 years already since the great man's passing.
On the referee's whistle, please show your love and respect for the greatest. Here's to you, Peter Whittingham.
Some would argue correctly the very best to ever wear the shirt of this illustrious football club. Peter Whittingham, still sadly missed 2 years old.